I'm going to teach you how to identify and execute the real daily actions that will get you your 2026 goals. If you recognize that not everything can be just handed to you on a platter and you actually need to work hard, but you're kind of excited for that, then you're in the right place, bro. Yo, my name's Jas, and I get young men disciplined because it changed my life and it will change yours too. You seem interested, so hit that subscribe because it helps me help you. I graduated uni about 5 months ago and I've literally had a 5-year long course. Sometimes they'll set you an assignment and it's literally due like a month, 6 weeks from now. In the moment that actually feels nice. It's like, oh yeah man, I've got ages to do this assignment. I bet I could get it done in a week anyway. And what actually ends up happening is Parkinson's law. The task will swell to fill up the deadline that it has been given. So when I was given those 6-week timelines to complete an assignment, I would actually just fill up the 6 weeks somehow, doing an assignment that could have taken me a week. And I would actually not get like that sick of a grade. You would think like, oh man, you've been given so long to do that assignment, I bet you're going to do really well on it anyway. But you actually don't. And what I found personally, right, is that setting the deadline myself, I actually used to just get the work done super quick to a pretty decent standard anyway. But I would sometimes do an assignment that's due in 6 weeks from now, get it done in a week and not even touch it, because then I can spend my time doing what I really like to do, right? Like doing the other assignments that I prefer, or just training, socializing, all of that stuff, right? But if we zoom out from that one isolated scenario, it seems to be the case everywhere else. Parkinson's law works in pretty much every single aspect of life. It's almost like when you set the goal yourself, or when you set the constraint or the timeline, you will just get the same amount of work done in a shorter time frame, sometimes to a better standard than if someone else gave you the deadline. These days, bro, no one's autonomous. No one actually gives themselves something to do in a set deadline and then actually gets it done. Clicking on a video like this where you're like, okay, 2026 goals, all of that, I'm gonna get it done, I'm gonna set a goal, I'm gonna achieve it, get that body, get consistent on studying, get consistent on my business work, get a better job, all of that stuff, right? Everyone's kind of got the vague idea in their head, like, yeah, I want all of that, but they don't actually take the real actions or identify the real actions. But when you look at what it's actually meant to be, it's not meant to be that you have the goal. That's like, everyone's got that. Everyone's got the goal. So what's going to separate you? Step 0 really is to just be able to set yourself the task and do the task. Unfortunately, and it ain't your fault, society's kind of stripped that ability from you away. And this video, you follow this, you'll get that back. I've got a method for you that is absolutely going to change everything. It's going to change the game, because it changed the game for me as well. We need to first understand that humans have got this like innate need. So innate is like, bro, it's just built into our mind. We've got this need to be autonomous. Look at a baby, right? You've heard of terrible twos. You've gone through this, I've gone through this. Everyone watching this has been a baby that's 2 years old and has gone through this, right? A toddler, even sometimes before they can learn to talk, they'll learn the word no. The terrible twos basically means that the mum will say, oh, like, here, eat this food. The kid will be like, no. The dad will be like, oh, go over there. And the kid will be like, no. Like, bro, the kid just says no to everything, no matter what it is. If the kid like needs to eat and it's hungry, but the mum says, here, eat, it won't do it. Why do you think that? Like, really think about why. Why does everyone go through that like terrible twos phase? It's something that's built into humans, and it's when you become autonomous. Because when a baby is a baby, it thinks that it's part of the mum. It thinks that it and the mum are one thing because it was attached, right? But when it develops like its own consciousness, it realizes that it has its own body, it has its own brain. So it becomes the terrible two like toddler guy when it realizes that it can say no. And then it will say no. It wants to do whatever it wants because it realizes it can. But when you go to the school system, the education system for the next sort of 18 years of your life, that innate autonomy gets taken away because you kind of have to be forced to wake up at this time, eat at this time, study like this, play with your friends whenever I say, and you can only play for like 15 minutes. Bro, you're not given the same autonomy that a human actually needs. And you might be looking at me and thinking, you've got a job, you go to uni, don't people tell you what to do? This is where I come in with the method, bro. I'll give you your autonomy back, but you've got to promise me that you're going to take the action. I can lay out the roadmap for you, man. I can tell you exactly what to do to get your goals, to understand how to actually make 2026 like that year. You've just got to take the action. That's why I'm excited to tell you this stuff. I get to basically just tell you the words, the actions, and you might actually fulfill your potential just after watching this one video. So let's get straight in. You have got to set a huge goal. For 2026, you got to think, okay, in December of this year, 2026, what do I want to achieve? And then you got to be like, okay, not only am I going to think the goal, I'm gonna write it down. And you should also tell someone, because it gives you some sort of accountability. Like, I've set this huge goal, but I'm actually gonna achieve it. Right now, we're still in the same territory as the like new year, new me, like bots, NPCs, whatever you want to call them, right? Like just normal people that set goals and don't do them, right? We basically want to separate ourselves from everyone else, because if you do the same thing as everyone else, you're gonna basically get the same result, and you don't really want the same result. Yeah, you kind of know that everyone's gonna set a goal like, oh yeah man, I'm gonna stop drinking in 2026, and then on literal like New Year's Day they're just gonna piss it up, mate. They're just gonna get drunk. So forget even thinking about those guys. When you word your goal, let's say you want to quit alcohol, yeah, don't say I'm gonna quit alcohol, just say I don't drink. Do you understand where I'm coming from? Don't be like, oh yeah, by December 2026 I'm gonna be jacked, I'm gonna have a six-pack. Use the action inside the goal. Be like, I'm a bodybuilder, because that will give you the sort of innate identity inside of you that will be like, okay, this is gonna make me take the actions that a bodybuilder would take, or a guy who doesn't drink alcohol would take, or a guy that doesn't play video games will take. Not only that, bro, you need to basically set a goal that isn't conducive to December 2026. So we'll have a milestone in December 2026, but now we need to think bigger. Instead of having like a New Year's resolution, give yourself an end of decade declaration. Give yourself something that you, in December of 2030, you can think, oh, this is what I really want. You might want like a 300 kilo deadlift or something crazy like that, right? Why don't you think about that? And then you can think like, oh, in December 2026, I'll probably need to lift like what, 180, 200. So you can start to work backwards and then create a December 2026 goal from there. Doing the end of decade declaration, or rather than the 2026 like end of year goal and then that's your final cutoff, this is way more powerful, because bro, this is a 5-year time horizon. This is like a lifelong goal. This is something life-changing, man. You could, bro, in 5 years you could be a completely different man. If you're 18 years old, you're gonna be 23 in 5 years. Imagine designing your dream life at 18 with the 23-year-old version of you in mind. Every day after this, like tomorrow, the day after, the week after, you're gonna feel so grateful that you've written down that goal and you've been taking the consistent actions that will get you there, man. This is really the kind of stuff that will change lives if you take this really seriously. You actually write down the goal and then you get it done, man. We can't just be fantasizing about, okay, 2030 I'm gonna have a six-pack and I'm gonna lift like a 200 kilo deadlift, whatever. You can't be fantasizing about that. You've got to think backwards now. Now we've got to set the daily actions that will get you there. So after you've got that goal, you need to think, okay, what can I do every single day that's basically gonna move the needle? This is now gonna be pretty hard. You've got to think exact specifics. What can I do to really move that needle? Like bro, for me, by 2030 I want to have impacted 1,000 guys through my channel. So I need to think, but what does that actually mean? I've got to get good at recording the video, and then I've actually got to record the video, right? So my exact daily methods, right? What can I do to achieve that? Let's get into details, man. I'll have to like set the tripod up, set the light up, get my phone, make sure it's charged, put it in the tripod, and sort of have a plan of what I'm going to say in the video, right? So all of these things, they come with their own sort of nuances. This is really in-depth and detail about myself. You can really take this and apply it to your daily life and think, okay, I want the six-pack, what can I really do? Well, it ain't going to be 30 crunches every morning. That's not going to get you the six-pack. It's going to be, I can't eat the junk. Okay, so don't have the junk in the fridge then. I have to go gym. Okay, well, get the flipping membership right now. I have to say no to that Saturday drinking binge session that me and my friends have every week. Well, tell them, guys, I don't drink anymore. Alcohol makes my stomach hurt really bad, and like I keep taking days off work. And bro, just flipping lie to them, man. Just say that you're getting allergic to it or something, like bullshit. You've literally got to remove the friction in your life like a lot. And when it comes to stuff like drinking and eating junk and all of that, if you're doing it with friends like I used to do with gaming, it's really hard to remove yourself from that, especially when there's other people involved. So you've kind of just got to lie at first. You've got to say like, oh, like bro, the alcohol's giving me the shits. I keep like going toilet at work and I hate it. It's really affecting me, man. I keep taking days off. You've got to make up something kind of outrageous, something that'll make them just like not even question it and be like, oh, okay then. And all you got to do is just be like, oh, I'm gonna take a break off this Saturday. I'm gonna take a break off next Saturday, and soon enough you're gonna remove yourself from that situation. And I can't lie, bro, if you're only friends with these people when you're drinking together, or when you're binge eating together, when you're gaming together, and you can't be friends outside of any of those scenarios, they're probably not your real friends. I kind of went off a tangent there, yeah? But look, let's get into the exact daily methods, what you can do. So let's say you've identified your 2030 goal, your 2026 goal, and then you've got into your daily actions. You know exactly what you need to do. This is where the power of autonomy comes in, and we're going to implement my 2-hour method. This is when you wake up 2 hours before your first non-autonomous task. That basically means that you've got to think in your head, okay, when does work start? When does school start? When do I start getting ready for these activities? Let's say you start getting ready for work or school at 7:30 in the morning. The 2-hour method states that at 5:30 you will wake up. And then you've got that beautiful, clean 2-hour window before any non-autonomous task gets in the way and crowds your day up, which is fine. You can still have non-autonomy in your day. But if you start your day of your own accord and you start working towards your goals early in the morning, that is a 10 out of 10 life. Because that's when you start to build your mind into this entity that works for you rather than against you. And then setting and achieving a goal sort of becomes automatic, bro. You might be thinking, okay, what do I actually do in those 2 hours when I wake up? Like, I'm gonna wake up at 5:30, that's fine, but what do I actually do? So what you're gonna do, you're gonna have that 20% high leverage task, and that's basically the task that I said is gonna move the needle earlier on for your goal. And you're also gonna do some personal development habits. And you might be like, oh, but like, what is that? Like, why do I have to do that? Bro, what the personal development habits do is they sort of lubricate the discipline part of your mind. You need that, because without that, you can't sit down and do the 20% high leverage task. You need the effects of the cold shower, the breath work, the meditation, the gratitude, the journaling, all of that. You do need the effects of those. Even just one habit that you, bro, anything I've listed just now, if something stuck with you and you're like, oh, breath work, like, that sounds quite interesting. Try it out, man. Type in like 3, 4, 5 minute breath work guided YouTube video and then like just do it. That's what I did. Okay, and the next thing following off from that is the scoreboard metrics. This is sort of next level, bro. I understand if you kind of think, oh, I don't really want to do that at all, and you might think that it's too hard to do, but this is actually really easy to implement once you've got into the groove of it, and that takes about 2-3 days. So let me just help you out here, yeah? The scoreboard metrics are basically effort, time, and outcome. You've got to think, okay, from these habits that I'm doing, the high leverage task, the cold showers, the breath work, how do I feel? If you could basically make a matrix that scores how much effort it took, how much time it took, and how you feel afterwards, that would be the ideal scenario. Because then you can see, okay, what habits really work for me? What's realistic for me to like continue for the rest of my life? And is there any point? Because there's going to be some habits that you just don't really care about. They don't make you feel that great, and there's not really any point in you doing them. And that's fine. It's not going to be for everyone, right? Imagine if a cold shower gives you like eczema. How could I possibly convince you to carry on after that? Like, yeah, you get the dopamine effect and you feel really good afterwards, but if you get eczema after, what's the point? But you'd only find that out if you had a mental model in your head like, okay, effort, time, and outcome. If you want to take this to the next level, you could write this down. You could literally write this down and have it stuck on your wall and tick them off every single day for the next 10, 12, 30 days even. That's how you'll really figure out what works for you and what doesn't. Okay, but what happens 148 days from now when you've got the same goal, but you've forgotten about this video and you kind of don't want to do any of the work, and you've probably like slacked off for the past like month anyway? Well, that's where you've got to remember that you've written it down. When you write this goal down, you have to write it somewhere that you can see. It can be your phone background, it can be a notes page that you have open every single day, but bro, I actually don't even trust you to do that, so just have it as your phone background. That is what will work for pretty much like 100% of people watching this. Just have your goal as your phone background. And if you're like, oh, but like my friends are gonna see it and it's gonna look so cringe, and like my family, bro, these are the people in your life, yeah, that you see every single day or like every single week. Why can't they get to know you any better? Why can't they get to know the real you? If me, Jas, some random guy on YouTube can get to know that like you have a goal and everything, why can't your mates get to know that? Bro, have that sort of aggression inside of you that's like, yeah, I've got that goal and I want to achieve it. Actually, bro, you know what? Hold me accountable to that. Why don't you say that to your boys or your mum or your sister or whatever? They'll respect you more, you know? They won't find it embarrassing. They'll be like, oh, he's actually got something about him. Bro, this all can start with something that I call the mere exposure effect. If you feel kind of overwhelmed right now and you're like, I don't know where to start, just listen to what I'm about to say. This could be so easy. The mere exposure effect basically says the more that we're exposed to a particular phenomenon, the more that we are likely to enjoy it and accept it into our lives. So you once got onto that video game when you were like 8 years old and it was kind of hard. You didn't like the screen burn in your eyes. You kind of got a headache from sitting so close to the TV and playing, but you kept doing it every day because it became addictive. You were once scrolling on Instagram Reels. They weren't optimized for you. You were seeing videos of like pregnant women with their children and you didn't really care about that. And then you saw a dog video and you didn't find it funny, but now it's optimized, bro. Now your Reels, they're pure brain rot. It's so fun to watch them. It's perfection. That's the mere exposure effect. You exposed yourself to these bad habits a little bit, and then they became that phenomenon that was so ingrained into your daily life because you decided to accept it, whether it was conscious or subconscious. Now, what if this is a double-edged sword and you can apply this to something that's actually good for you? The disciplined habits, that lifestyle, your goals, the 20% high leverage task. Just expose yourself to one little bit of it. Even if you do 5 minutes of work, that's the mere exposure effect, bro. You will want to do do 5 minutes again tomorrow. And I know for a fact, yeah, that if you sit down and you only do 5 minutes, that 5-minute timer goes off. You're going to be like, I'll carry on. You know it too, man. We've all done it. We've all like studied for longer than 5 minutes for an exam. That exam wasn't even your goal. What if you now have set your own goal, something that you actually want, that 6-pack, yeah? You actually want to get there? Well, you will be more likely to take the action seriously that leads to that goal. But you really need to get to the point where you are drilling in that disciplined routine every single day, but only a little bit at first. Bro, by December 2026, you could be a whole new man. The mere exposure effect is powerful, but you really need to like angle it to the way that you want it to go. You want it to go in the way of your goals. Well, right now it's going down the toilet, mate. Gaming, junk food. What's the point? No training. Expose yourself to the things that will get you the results that you really want. I've got 2 links in the description. One is a pure discipline self-improvement program that will get you to the place that you want to be. It's a 5-phase program with some bonuses inside. You can check that out. The other one is a free one-to-one call. I just want to see if any of you guys are basically a fit for my one-to-one coaching and we can work together and actually get to your goals. I hope you take action, bro. Sweat or regret, man. I'm out.